Welcome, future teachers. Feeling a little anxious about stepping into your first classroom? Well, you're not alone. In this explainer, we're going to turn that anxiety into pure confidence by busting some common teaching myths and unlocking a few golden rules for language learning. Let's dive in.
Okay, let's be real. Have you ever had that nagging thought that your students are just too quiet, or that maybe, just maybe, your teaching methods aren't quite clicking? Yeah, these fears are completely normal, and they usually come from popular ideas about teaching that, as we're about to see, don't really hold up.
All right, first up, from echo to conversation, we're going to rethink our instincts about imitation. So let's tackle our first big challenge. What on earth do you do when students just seem to be repeating words back at you without actually, communicating?
You know this scene, right? You say something, and they just say it right back. It's an echo chamber. This whole thing is rooted in a really old myth that learning a language is simply about imitation. But the research tells a totally different and way more effective story.
Okay, this table right here, this is where the magic happens. It shows the big shift from mindless repetition to meaningful communication. Yeah, drills can be useful, but the real goal is to get students producing their own language. And we do this with information gap tasks. Think of it like a game, where one student has a piece of a puzzle, and another has a different piece. They have to talk to each other to solve it. It forces real communication, not just empty repetition.
And instead of just imitating single sounds, things like jazz chants help students feel the natural rhythm and stress of English, the melody. This is absolutely crucial for being understood in a real conversation. It's about feeling the music of the language, not just repeating the words.
Okay, so we've got students communicating more, which is awesome. But now a new challenge pops up, right? How do we handle their mistakes? This brings us to our next section, which is all about the art of gentle correction. This is a huge source of anxiety for new teachers, so let's break it down.
Oh, this is a heartbreaker. You see a student bravely trying to speak, and then they just freeze the second you correct them. It happens all the time. And honestly, it's because we're unintentionally punishing them just for trying to communicate. So how do we fix this?
So, here's the crucial point. Our number one goal is communication, not perfection. This table lays it out perfectly. We need to prioritize fluency, just letting the conversation flow during activities. And we do this with a super powerful tool called a recast, instead of whipping out that verbal red pen.
So, what exactly is a recast? It's not about saying, no, that's wrong. It's a really gentle, almost invisible way to model the correct language while totally validating the student's idea. You keep the conversation going.
And this right here is a perfect example. The student says, I bought a new book. The teacher just replies, oh, you bought a new book. That's wonderful. What's it about? See that? The correction is woven seamlessly into an enthusiastic, encouraging response. You fixed the form, but you kept the focus on the meaning. This is a total game changer.
But what about those students who seem to struggle no matter what you try? Well, it's time we dismantle the myth that learning a language is all about having a certain type of intelligence.
We've all heard this one, right? Some students just aren't good at English. It's a frustrating belief that often comes from the mistaken idea that only traditionally book-smart kids can learn a language well. But the evidence tells a very, very different story.
Look, the research is crystal clear on this. IQ scores do not predict how well someone can communicate orally. So what does that mean for us teachers? It means we need a bigger toolbox. We need methods that engage every type of learner, not just the ones who ace grammar tests. And this is where a technique like total physical response, or TPR, is so powerful. It connects language directly to a physical action. It's concrete, it's memorable, and it lets students who might not be great at written tests experience immediate success in understanding.
All right, now we're getting to what might be the single most important mindset shift of all. It's about learning to see mistakes not as failures, but as beautiful signs that a curious mind is hard at work.
You've heard these creative errors before, things like righted or bide. Your first instinct might be to think they're bad habits, but they are actually a fantastic sign that your students are doing something incredible. They're figuring out the rules of English all on their own.
The research shows that so many of these errors are just developmental. The student learned the rule for past tense, add ed, and now they're applying it everywhere. This is the exact same process native-speaking toddlers go through. It is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of learning.
Seriously, embracing this idea is truly transformative. It changes your role from being a corrector of mistakes to a guide who actually celebrates the journey of discovery. It gives your students the psychological safety they need to take risks and really, truly learn.
So, we've busted some pretty big myths, and we've explored some powerful new techniques. Let's pull all of this together into a clear, empowering philosophy for your classroom.
And here they are, the golden rules. Now, all of these are important, but if you remember nothing else, please hold on to these two. First, always prioritize meaning over perfect grammar. And second, celebrate creative errors. They are the milestones of learning that they truly are.
To make this all real, here's your mission. Don't try to do everything at once. Just choose one of these golden rules. Maybe it's using a recast instead of a direct correction, or just smiling when you hear a creative error. Try it in your very next class. This is how real, confident teaching begins.